Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajdah channel and welcome to day 8 of the Sajdah Deca Fest. We're going to be talking about creativity today and working to shift our mindset so that our actions are not that of a made people, but that of a created people. Come on in, tune in, join us. We are going to be downloading courage today, downloading leadership. Let's get ready. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. Grab your coffee. I got mine. Tell a friend and make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll see you soon.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee. And he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee. And I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible
Assalamu alaikum, family, and peace be unto you. How is everyone doing today? Sending you all lots of love and energy and light. What y'all sipping on? I have some decaf coffee with pumpkin spice oat milk creamer. That's what we got over here today. Today is day 7 of the Sajdah Decca Fest. And if you've been following along, we've been going strong every single day at 6 a.m. since my birth anniversary last Friday. So if you haven't been on, you have to catch up. The episodes are out here. It should be under the playlist, the Sajdah Decca Fest. But you can go and check it out. And we've covered a lot of different themed topics. Today, we're going to talk about creativity. And probably not creativity from the standpoint that you're used to us covering it, or people in the vernacular over in our community covering it. People usually think about creativity like art and drawing and things like that. And although that is a very big part of it, but creativity is an everyday life force. Okay. Something very interesting about creativity. The leaders of art, culture, pop culture, creative, physical athleticism, mostly all come from our community, okay, as Black people. And a lot of people say, well, what is that? What is it about y'all that makes it so that you all are always so creative? Why is it that even in the Olympics, when it came to physical prowess, there's a certain creativity, there's a certain drawing on a life force that seems supernatural? But yet we tend to have and own the least. We tend to be most marginalized. We tend to be most discriminated against. We tend to be most victimized individually, as a collective, as a community. But yet, when it comes to pop culture, it's our culture that is the vanguard of the development of the multi-million-dollar industries. When it comes to athleticism, it is our culture that is at the vanguard of that. When it comes to modern inventions that make our life better and easier, we have been the vanguard of them, yet we don't own many of the patents. And so somebody would ask, well, why do y'all keep creating? Why are y'all so creative? And we live around creativity all the time. If you have anybody in your family, any grandmother, grandfather, anybody, you can just go to their house and you'll see creativity. We so creative that back in the day when the TV didn't work well, we took the hanger and put it in the TV, and we the ones put the vice grip, if you will, or the pliers on the handle to turn the TV. Y'all young folks don't know nothing about that. But there's so many things that we do that's creative. Literally, we could be on drugs and on crack, and you could go through our neighborhood and see some of the most creative people. But we don't download leadership into our being. We don't download that courage into our being that makes us desire to be owners. developers, leaders, vanguards. And why is that? It's because along the way, the treatment that we have experienced have made us forget something. I'm going to play a video about being rejected. It's a video that Denzel Washington did when he was accepting one of his awards. Because rejection is a big reason why we function the way that we do in this particular subject that we're talking about, of creativity. So let me play that, and I'm going to explain something to you. But before we do, I want to say something just to drop this seed in your mind. The rejection, the discrimination, the kidnapping, the murdering, the oppression, all of these things that we have experienced have forced us to function as if somebody made us, as if we are a made people. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that we are created beings. We are made in the image and likeness of the Creator himself. We are created beings. And when you're a created being, you function differently than you do if you're a made man or woman. See, when you're a made man or woman, your master becomes the person that made you. When you are a created being, your life reflects the fact that you are mimicking that which created you. And if you're mimicking that creator, that means that you're an owner. That means that you're a developer. But the rejection, that ego-based mindset. See, this is a whole psych ops campaign that I don't think a lot of us realized. We don't realize it. Let me come back. Let's check out this video, and I'm going to come back. I just had to drop those few things on you.
Rejected, accepted. If you're unloved, let go. If you're rejected, accepted. If you're unloved, let go. If they choose someone or something over you, move on. Not everyone you love will stay. Not everyone you trust will be loyal. I don't care about losing people who don't want to be in my life anymore. I've lost people who meant the world to me, and I'm still doing just fine. Do not follow the majority. Follow the right way. You can feel it when someone is not being real with you. Energy never lies. Always speak how you feel and never be sorry for being real. Give people time. Give people space. Don't beg anyone to stay. Let them roam. What's meant for you will always be yours. I feel so much better when people don't know where I am and what I'm doing. You may not be able to control every situation and its outcome, but you can control your attitude and how you deal with it. Do good. It will come back to you in unexpected ways. Be happy with what you have while working for what you want. Remember that some things have to end for better things to begin.
Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat.
I hope y'all kind of listened to that message and got that message. And let's put this all together with why we don't function as created beings. And it's because we are in many cases living an ego-driven life. See, when your life is ego-driven, okay, when you're thinking about what you want, what somebody else wants for you, the ego wants to be special all the time. The ego just wants to be special. It doesn't matter if it's especially good or especially bad. And so when people ask me about one of the pillars of my life, creativity is important. I always say to you guys, I describe myself as an artist. Business is just my canvas. But creativity is the fuel that lights my fire. Creativity. Why? Because when you learn to sit with yourself, when you learn to sit with yourself and let the ego dissolve a little bit. I'm not saying get rid of the ego. There's a lot of schools of thoughts out there that say you got to get rid of your ego, but somehow you need the sovereignty of who you are. But when you're an abused person, when you're a trauma victim, your ego becomes really huge, believe it or not. Because oftentimes, or can become really huge, because oftentimes we're saying, why has this happened to me? Why me? Why me? I, me. And so when a person rejects you and you're like, man, why don't they like me? Why can't I get this award? Why didn't they choose me? Why don't they love me? Why are they discriminating against me? Why don't they want me here? I'm going to fight to eat at that lunch counter. I'm going to fight. So now they can control you and they can dangle that desire in front of you and make you a made person. And when you are a made man or woman, that means you have a master and you have something or someone that you are looking to whose attention and validation you would die for. And so all of your actions on a subconscious level, generation after generation after generation, are all looking towards that master, that maker, to see if we can get validation, to see if we can seek something from them. We eat from them. We're like little birds chirping in a nest, just saying, please, please, please give me some and give me more than her and give me more than him. And look at me, check me out. Look at me more than you. Look at them. And that becomes our life. And then our families say to us, look, they give us a list of instructions on things that we should do, the goal of which is to go and gain more out of this world from this maker, who we just haven't seemed to have been able to convince us that we deserve a certain amount of treatment. Here we are with a Black woman, a sister, running for president, and people are still being racist. People are still being sexist. No matter how much we beg, no matter how much we design and redesign our lives, it's not going to change the mindset of people who desire to be a certain way. So how do we rise above that? How do we move into another dimension in terms of our conduct and our thinking and show them, look, you see these massively creative people out here who you are monetizing their creativity and using that money and that wealth to go sit on the beach and to fuel your industries? Guess what? We now recognize that we are created beings. We are not made men and women. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you are not a made man or woman. You are a created being. What does that mean? It means you are in the image and likeness of the Creator. So the way in which the original God formed himself up out of triple darkness and created himself is how we should be living our lives. So what happens for us is that we live it and then we stop. We live it, we create, and then we stop. What enhances our creativity? A lot of it is the trauma. So when you keep an object under pressure, let's say you put a piece of cardboard on top of a plant. If that plant is creative and resilient, it figures out how to either go through the cardboard or around it to build the flower or the plant. Or you see trees growing around gates and fences, or you see flowers and shrubs growing around rocks. That's the creative force of the universe figuring out a way to make it and figuring out a way to get to the sun by any means necessary. And we're creative. We out here creating. That stress that we're under has made us the most creative group of people on the planet. We're just struggling to get to the wrong sun. We forgot who the creator of the universe is. We forgot the power of our creative force. So much so that when our maker said to us, you're creative in every category except owning and monetizing and making money. And guess what? That's where we all struggle. That's where we struggle. A lot of us can draw. A lot of us can sing. A lot of us can dance. A lot of us can be creative and figure out how to survive and how to make it. But then when it comes to actually owning and leading, we struggle. We got to take leadership classes. But that's already in you and I. That creativity is already there. So when I think of myself, this is day 8 of the Sajdah Deca Fest. When I think of myself as a created being. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, at a time when there weren't that many Black people in Nebraska at that time. More people have since migrated there, and you got more companies and stuff happening. There was a lot of racism around me. I think I told the story of how, we could be walking down the street and be called the N-word at any point. I went to school in Iowa, where I had white men who were extremely racist in pickup trucks driving past as we're walking home from class, calling us the N-word. See, a lot of you all who grew up in Chicago, DC, when it was Chocolate City, this is not a reality that you know. But for those of us who grew up in these small towns where we are a severe minority and we didn't necessarily go to school in a Black community, or we weren't really honeycombed by our community, we know this reality all too well. And so for me, knowing that reality and learning that reality at a very early age made me creative, because I never saw myself as that person that they hated, as that nigger, as that B word, as all those things that I've heard. I never saw myself as that. I got in my books. I studied world history. I was creative on every front. I spent the majority of the time, my mother will tell you, she's on here, being creative in my room, playing my flute, listening to music, playing my little, somebody bought me a little, I don't know, Mom, where that came from. I think you must have got it, a little synthesizer or keyboard. I called it my organ. And I used to just play it, and I would put on music and figure out how to play the melody of the music. So creativity was a big part. Drawing. So when I got in school and had to solve a problem, whether it was in statistics or in science and chemistry class, my creative energy was overpowered. And I'm going to tell you the one incident that happened, and this is really funny, that made me realize that these people were crazy. I was on the cheerleading team. I don't even remember what grade this was. And I want to say it was only like a couple, like out of the whole cheerleading squad, it might have been like one or two Black girls or the only Black girl. And one of the white girls said something about me and referenced me as the Black girl. And I was like, what? Like, excuse me? And I remember going home to my mother saying, why are they calling me the Black girl? She's like, because you are. And from that point, I got the energy and the sense that they thought the Black girl was less than them. And so I made sure I got better grades. I made sure I outperformed them. I didn't go into nothing that I didn't show up and show out for, no matter what it was. And so I had to get creative in order to be that way. And so that going into that creativity and not allowing that consciousness to impact me was something that I began practicing at a very early age. And the beautiful thing that I've been blessed with is that despite all of that, the drama, the hatred, I've never been an evil and stinking nasty person. I've always worked very hard to treat people fairly and to handle people properly. I've always had friends from diverse backgrounds. I've been blessed in that way. But a lot of times for many of us, because that reality does not crystallize until later in our lives, maybe once we get to college, maybe once we get to corporate, maybe once somebody tells us, it becomes something that we struggle with and are challenged with for a very long time. So if you ask me about the making of Sajdah, that is one of the things that as a child, I learned to navigate through. So I'm not afraid if I like certain pop songs. My family laughs at me because I know the words to just about every pop 80s and 90s pop song, even 70s. I'm not afraid to embrace certain cultural activities. I've taken waltz classes. I know how to dotsy-do. You name it. If it was in dance class, I took it. And I wasn't afraid of that because somehow at a very early age, I had a sense that I was all, that I was that I was all, that I was everything. So when I go back to Brother Yusuf saying to me, look for Allah in everything, it clicked because I was already and Allah and all. I was already that in my mind. See, I couldn't navigate through the corporate world and through the situations and circumstances that I was thrown into and feel less than and inferior. And so I had to find a creative way to exist and thrive. And that was the way of doing it, was understanding myself as a created being. So when I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say, you are not a made people, you are not made men and women, I got it. And so I'm constantly encouraging us, you all know, through this network, through the work that I do, to stop acting like made people. Stop being dogmatic and let somebody tell you who you can talk to, where you can go, what you can say, how you should act. I know people that are afraid to be friends with certain people in front of other people. That's because that's your maker. That's why. But if you understand yourself as a created being, you understand yourself as all, as as Allah, as An, all of that, meaning that you pulsate with the pulsation of the universe. You are everywhere. You are all that. You are all things. You vibrate with the creator. So if somebody puts something on top of you, you find a way to go around it and look for the sun, because all you want is for that sun to shine on you. You hold that sun in your heart. That's that creative force. So it doesn't matter what field you're in. Creativity is not restricted to just drawing or singing. Creativity is in how you dress, how you express yourself, the words you choose, how you write, how you walk, how you greet people, how you treat people, how you open your business, how you greet people in your business, how you design your space that you live in. That creativity, that reflection of that from which you come, is everywhere around you. Everywhere around you. Talk to me. I know y'all thinking, y'all quiet in the chat today. Let me see who's here. Let me go back. All right, Sister Betty. I see you, girl. I see you, sis. I pray your business is going well. Happy Friday. Look at the regional sky girl chiming in with us today. She says, ASA and Buenos Dias, family. She said, pray that everyone is in the best of health and spirit. I'm assuming that she's in some Spanish-speaking location. Happy Friday. Welcome, Mom. Assalamu alaikum. Let's see. Owner, financing, real estate, and land. I think that's Brother Robert 11X. Wa alaikum salam. Let's see who else we got here. Sister Aurelia's in the house. Welcome, sis. Top of the morning to you as well. Sister Nubia Latifa. Welcome, sis. Morning salutations. Let's see who else we got here. Sister Sajdah. Y'all put some claps in the chat, because Sister Sajdah is the brainchild and the conduit through which the Sajdah Decca Fest came about. And so next year, when we're all celebrating our spiritual enlightenment, I want this to be a 10-day celebration for you and I, celebrating and learning and loving the day that we accepted our own and became ourselves. All right, let's see who else we got here. Put them claps in the chat for sis. Who is this? Christine Taylor. Assalamu alaikum, sis. Christine Taylor, why does your name seem familiar? Thank you, sis, for those claps in the chat. Sister Amira Nisi Poo is here. ASA, happy Friday. She says she woke up feeling blessed. All praises due to Allah. Yes, wake up feeling blessed. Wake up feeling courageous. So, with the conversation that we are having about creativity, and I want you guys to give me some questions in the chat. We got about 20 minutes left. If you have questions about this, because I want to raise our awareness so that we stop acting like made men and women and start acting like a created person, which is who we are. And I don't want to say acting like a created person, because acting means that you're not it. I want us to start reflecting the creative process through which we are descendants, from which we are descendants. Start reflecting the creative process from which we are descendants. Okay? It's so easy because we've been trained to be made people for us to come into religious and spiritual environments and bring that dogma and that made mentality with us. But you see, this information, this enlightenment, all of this that we are blessed to learn today, we have access to more information than our ancestors ever even experienced or imagined. And this information is to shine a light on us and to brighten us, to illuminate us, to help us. It's a very special day and time in which we live. Take advantage of it. If you're still walking around here being a made person, then that means that you're missing the opportunity of a lifetime. The opportunity of a lifetime. We're missing out on it. Why? Because we are so caught up in trying to be what somebody else wants us to be. You showed up on the planet for a reason. I'll tell you where I got that from. See, because I'm looking for Allah in everything and everywhere, He shows up. And this must have been early 2000s. I was selling real estate, and I was going into a building over here in Hyde Park to show a woman a condo. She was a Black woman, older. And when we got to the door of the condo, I was holding the door, waiting for her to come in. And as she walked up, she stopped right here in my face. And she said, "What did you show up on the planet to do?" And I was like, "What?" And she kept walking. And we went in and looked at the condo. I was barely paying attention to anything in there because she asked me a question that was so profound. And I really think she was like an angel just sent there to drop that seed on me. I don't think I ever saw her again. She never, I don't think she ever called back. I don't think she ever bought anything. She just asked me. She said, "What did you show up on the planet to do?" And I remember I got in my car and I wrote that down. What did I show up on the planet to do? Well, how am I going to find that out? How am I going to get there? I now got to start pulling these creative pieces together and figure out if I get the inspiration and try to spark the inspiration for what I showed up on the planet to do. That's where I got that from. Someone just said that to me. I can't even say it was random. I can't even say she was a random person. I don't remember her name or anything. I just remember she asked me that. So I want us to put that in our spirit, that we are not a made person. And I want us to really think on that. We are a created people. We are created in the image and likeness of God. We are a reflection of the creative force. We are descendants of the Creator. So how do we get what we want out of a life that was given to us by a force that we don't control? We have to use the mechanisms that He used to bring Himself into being. So the prayer that I want us to leave this talk with today is to ask Allah to download into us leadership, download into us encouragement and courage, and download into us integrity. Those words blended together when they came in. Leadership, courage, and integrity. Why those three? Leadership, because many of us are trying to steal what we want out of life. We're trying to play small. We just want to creep up like a little rat, steal a little piece of cheese, and go back to our little hole. We just want to slither up like a snake, grab it, and go back and hide under a rock and hope nobody sees us. We really don't want to clean up and be exposed and be on Front Street because we're afraid of the enemy. We're afraid of people seeing us and pointing out our flaws. We're worried about that. So we have to have the courage to be leaders. See, a lot of business people, a lot of you all that book sessions with me and want to have consulting sessions because you want to grow and build your business, a lot of the problem is because you're afraid to be a leader. You don't want to be a leader. You don't want the responsibility. You don't want the eyes on you. But if you pray for leadership, I asked Allah this morning, download into me leadership, download into me courage, so that where I'm afraid, I can have courage. Where I'm ashamed, I can have courage. Where I'm weak, I can have courage. And then download into me integrity, so that I can do what I say I'm going to do. I can say be, and it is. I can be a clean and straight and honest person, a reliable person, down to the mustard seed of integrity, leadership, courage, and integrity. And when you get these types of downloads, when we get these downloads, the creativity is natural. It's easier because then you won't be so afraid. You won't be so worried about who rejects you and who doesn't like you because you're doing something that they don't want you to do because they're trying to make you into something that serves them. You won't worry about it so much. You'll be like Denzel said on that video. Don't worry about who rejects you, because your creativity, that life force, that love within you will attract to you that which is aligned with you. If somebody got to go, then just go. It's okay. Just go. I wish you the best, and I illuminate the road for you to go ahead. Does that make sense to y'all? That makes sense to anybody? I hope it does. Go back and listen to this and check it out. because it's really something that it's a little tweak that we got to work on. We got to go from being made men and women to realizing our inheritance as a created being. Realize our inheritance as a created being. And if you all, any of my financial people out here, you know that there's a special reason why you call something a realized gain or loss. You can only get taxed on a realized gain or loss. You can only have a tax implication on a realized gain or loss, because once you realize it, meaning that now it materializes, it comes into your space and you've used it, it now can, in essence, be taxed. So what do we mean? Realize our inheritance, meaning that the inheritance is there. It's there. It's just sitting there. It's right here in front of us. But we don't realize it. Not just realize it's there to go, I see it. Not that. I'm talking about realizing it where we walk into it. We talked yesterday about taking one step towards Allah and He comes at us flying. What does that mean? It means we stepped into the path of the vortex that is drawing us into alignment with His will and His way. So to realize that inheritance is different from to recognize the inheritance. When I recognize the inheritance, okay, I recognize you. When I realize you, I now reach up and take you and pull you into my activities, into my life. I take that inheritance and I get benefit from it. I live off of it. What is my inheritance? My inheritance is that I'm a creative being, and all the benefits that come from being a creative being. All the benefits that come from being a creative being. And a lot of people struggle with that. I can feel the struggle. Think about it this way. If I have a bean pie, okay, and I slice it, just because I sliced it doesn't mean it's not a bean pie. It came from that whole pie. So when I took a piece of it, I still have a piece of bean pie. So the piece of pie is going to taste like the whole pie. That's as simple as I can make it for y'all. You're a piece of God. But the beautiful thing, see, that pie, whether I'm holding a piece of it or the whole pie, it was still made the same. The recipe and the formulary is the same for the piece as it is for the whole. All right, family. I love you all. I appreciate you. I wish you a powerful, powerful Friday. Juma Mubarak to everyone. Make sure that we are praying and focused. And listen, in this fast-paced world that we live in, we must learn to sit with ourselves. Even though a lot of us pray 5 times a day, we still don't sit with ourselves. We go to prayer and we go through the quick ritual and then we go back to work, or we go do what we got to do. Take a minute to sit with yourself and just sit there and feel yourself, feel your creativity, feel the love that is inside of you, feel everything that is flowing through you, the good and the bad, and just watch it and let it pass. And I encourage you, sit down, take a piece of paper, and get creative. Whatever problem you have, you have the capacity to solve it. All you have to do is be creative. Think outside the box. See, part of our problem is that we're restricted to a solution based on what we think is going to please or displease our maker. Be creative. Pull on the God. Nurse from that big universal breast that the minister says. Pull on it. Pull on it. Because you and I are not a made people. We are created beings, made in the image and likeness of God. So thank you, everyone. Happy Friday. We will see you all tomorrow, inshallah, for Saturday morning coffee talk. It is day 9, and day 9 is gratitude and reflection. So we're going to have a conversation about gratitude and reflection, which is a huge part of my life and a huge part of my being. I'll give you one little hint. I ask Allah all the time to make even my breath a prayer of gratitude. With that, you all, I will see you all, inshallah, tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you.